Ladies and gentlemen, you're rocking with a GOAT. Ken Dow giving you motivation for growth. 2 toes down, he keep it realer than most. He do it for the culture, that's always the goal. This is Strategic Moves with Ken Dow. This is Strategic Moves with Ken Dow.
What's up, everybody? You're watching another episode of Strategic Moves. I'm your host, Ken Dow, and today we're going to talk about health, especially men's health, African-American health at that. And I have one of my good friends. Not only he's a good friend of mine, but he's also my physician, been my physician for quite some time now, maybe over, gotta be, my daughter is 21. And so you were seeing, you knew me when I ain't had no kids. I just thought about it. Wow. So it's been quite a while since we've been dealing. Not only has you been a physician, but you also been a friend. Your family been friends of mine for years. Your brother Barry and Stacy. Barry, I worked for him over at Cleveland Screen Printing, and Stacy helped me through some tough times going through school and trying to get my education together, not to mention many parties at your house. So you've been somebody around that's been there and been looking out for me for quite a while. And so I wanted to bring you on this show to introduce you to everybody and tell them about the journey and how me and you met, as well as some of the stuff we went through. So
great.
Everybody want to introduce Dr. Gregory.
Thank you. Again, it's great to be here. I appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to the discussion. It's been 20 years. I was trying to figure it out myself.
Yes.
It's been a long time.
A very long time.
But it's been great seeing everyone's got to do their path and do their...
Yeah, I was talking to Dorinda, and I was telling her that your father was also my dentist. So I was like, when I first started off, I think before I met you, I had a toothache, and I think Randy said, go see Dr. Hall. That was everybody thinking, go see Dr. Hall. And I went to see your father on Chester, and he was my dentist. He helped me out and pulled some teeth for me back then. And then you became a doctor. I remember that. And it was like, hey, Greg's a doctor. So, that kind of thing. So, but before I get into that, tell me a little bit about who you are, where you grew up, and give us some background. I know you're from Glenville. Give us some background.
Absolutely.
We got time. I want everybody to get to know who you really are.
No, I appreciate it. Now, I grew up in, Glenville, inner city, 88th and St. Clair. We lived on East Boulevard, right where Cultural Gardens were. Mm-hmm. And we had one of the bigger houses because my father, like you say, was a dentist. Mm-hmm. And so I can't say I grew up poor, but we grew up in the urban area. Mm-hmm. It was a city. It was definitely the inner city.
Correct.
But it was great. Had a lot of family, extended family.
Brothers and sisters.
There were 5 of us, youngest of 5. You remember Billy and Stacy and Brother Barry, who's passed on.
Right. Barry, very well. Everybody remembers.
Yeah, everybody knew Barry. He's got kids, and then their kids have his personality. So
exactly.
It's like, everybody knows him. He can get you.
Exactly. Barry was the real doctor.
He was, and funny, the funniest guy ever.
Exactly.
But I always wanted to be a doctor, and I ended up going to medical school in Toledo.
Okay.
And then did my residency at Cleveland Clinic, and ended up going into private practice after St. Luke's closed at around 2001 or so.
Yeah, I think that's when I first met you. You were over at St. Luke's because my very first surgery I had, it was back over there at St. Luke's. So that was back.
Yeah,
then.
so that was before it closed in 99.
Yeah.
So then been in private practice for 20 years, and then it just started the beginning of December at University Hospital, and they are establishing this Cutler Center for Men, Cutler Men's Center.
Okay.
And that's where we're really concentrating on the disparities between how long men and women live, just in general. And men aren't doing well as far as their health. I spent most of my career talking about minority health and health disparities and African Americans, but in general, men also aren't doing well. And so it's just a shift.
Men as a whole,
they don't like to go to the doctor. They don't like confronting problems that they have. There's some that do, but by and large, it's a macho thing. And so going to the doctor and getting screened. And so it's watching my father made me more proactive because he was the typical man. My blood pressure is high. If it'll kill me, I'll die. Ain't no big deal dying. But when he had a stroke, he didn't die. Then it was a problem. Oh, now I can't lift this. I can't do that. Now my speech is slurred. Now it's a problem. So then he ended up having open heart surgery. He smoked. And when he had open heart surgery, he had to stop smoking. But there was no talking to him into stopping smoking before open heart surgery. Right?
Exactly.
So I just have been really more proactive because what people say, oh, you look like your daddy. You remind me of your daddy. So I was like, I can have a stroke just like my daddy, and a heart attack just like my daddy, and open heart surgery. I'm not trying to do all that.
Correct.
I'm on blood pressure medicine that I take every day, and I've got a pill dispenser. And so I'm trying to do those things differently from I've had a colonoscopy. Whatever I'm supposed to be doing, I'm going to do. And I'm trying to set an example because a lot of my patients just, they want, well, did you do it? Like the vaccine, did you do it?
Exactly.
Don't tell me anything. What did you do?
Are you still you still over off of, what's that, Lyndhurst?
Richmond Heights. We moved. We were on Highland and Richmond.
Right. That's
moved around from Richmond and to Chardon, right across from Richmond Hospital.
Okay.
Offices in there. It's right on the third floor. Richmond.
Sure. I haven't been there since you had moved.
Yeah, 27155 Chardon Road. That's where we are.
That's where you are. Yeah. Now, in your practice there, we'll talk a little bit about that before we move on to the other stuff. Is that you also do tattoo removal?
No, stopped that years ago.
Stopped it. So tell me, what was that all about? Because I remember going there. And
yeah,
that was
there were a lot of people that regretted their tattoos that they'd gotten early in life. And a lot of them got them in urban areas where they really wasn't a whole lot of professional artists, and people would get them as teens, and then later in life they really couldn't afford the tattoo removal that was available because it was really designed to really take your money. And there were people who really felt bad about some of the decisions that they had made tattoo wise. And so I bought a machine and said, we'll do them at prices that people can afford. I ended up getting a contract with the state doing juvenile tattoo removal, for people. And they paid to have teardrops and swastikas and all kinds of things that angry teens had put on. And so it was an opportunity to give back, and it paid for the laser. But when the laser broke, I was like, oh, I'm done doing this.
Oh, so what is it, painful though?
Yeah, it hurts like a tattoo. It's no more painful than getting a tattoo, but it's not fun. You know what I'm saying? It's not, but getting a tattoo is not fun either. It's not any pain that anyone hasn't already felt. I imagine there's people who go to get a tattoo and say, oh no, I can't do this. And those people don't end up having to get their tattoos removed. You know what I mean? But it's when you hit the first time, they jump, but once they know how it feels, they sit there. I've had, I'm trying to think if I've had anyone who just said, no, stop it, forget it. I can't do it.
Like you say, if they can put a tattoo on them.
So it's no more painful than getting a tattoo.
I understand. And so we'll go back into this men's health. And I want to tell you a story that I just don't know if you knew, but I'm going to tell you how it happened to me. I had an appointment to come see you like I normally do. And your old office, I tell everybody, this is my fat boy story. I like calling it my fat boy story because everybody had one. My meal of choice used to be McDonald's. Fish fillet sandwich, large fry, and that large tea. Shit you stick to your hands, the tea you get over there. It used to be right across the street from your place. So I remember, the one thing I remember used to go into the doctor's, every time I used to go to your place, I'd be like, when I leave here, I always go to this damn McDonald's right across the street.
That's not supposed to happen.
It's supposed to happen, but that's what I did. And so I ended up going there and said, no, I'm going to go after this time. I leave and go in because I had to run in here and take care of this. So I go in. Normally you say, Robin, go in, check his weight. I go check the weight. I looked at the scale. It said 398. I said, damn. And just kept walking. Went ahead, got in the office, came in eventually. Because he's right. Everybody know. You got in there. When you came in, you said, damn, man, do you know you almost 400 pounds? And I said, yeah, I think that's what the scale said. I said, yeah. And you said to me, you said, man, you just a few pounds away from having a heart attack. And I said, yeah. And you said, no, man, when you have a heart attack, you're going to have a serious one and you're going to die and you're going to leave your whole family behind. Exactly what you said to me. And I looked at you and I said, okay. And then you said, you know what? I bet you got diabetes too. I said, I ain't got no diabetes. And you said, I bet you do. You called Robin in and you said, hey, stick his finger, go ahead, test him. Well, here goes that shit. I said, here we go. And then I said, okay. And he said, I bet you got it. I said, I ain't got that shit. That's what I said. I said, I ain't got that shit. That's what I said. And then you went ahead and Robin tested. Didn't have it. It came in normal. I said, see, told you I ain't have it, blah, blah, blah. Left out. About a week later, I was at work and I started just noticing, damn, I keep drinking all this damn water. Then I kept using the bathroom, going regular, I keep going to this damn bathroom. So I called my wife and I said, you know what? Keep drinking this water and I keep running to the bathroom. She said, you got it. Because I told her what you said. I said, Greg think I got sugar. I said, I ain't got no damn sugar. I ain't got that shit. That's what I kept saying.
Right.
I ain't got that shit. And she was like, oh, yeah, no, you got it. And I said, she said, I think you got it. That's the symptom. So now I'm online reading it like, damn, I think I got this stuff. So I call you back, make an appointment, come in, tell you the same thing you said. I told you. You was going to have it, blah, blah, blah. You need to do something about your weight. That's what you said. And I said, I was thinking about taking weight loss surgery. And you said, you need to do something. And I said, wow, okay, so I got to do something. So I took the weight loss surgery, like you said. I lost 168 pounds. Now, before then, I was coming to you. I was on high blood pressure. I was on the metformin. Then I was taking another pill that I had to take with the metformin because the metformin was killing my kidneys or some other shit it was doing. And you got to take this in order to do that. I was taking that. I was high blood pressure. It was about 4 or 5 pills I was taking and doing that process. And doing that, I did lose the weight, went through the process of losing weight. And it was the best thing I ever did. And I wanted to thank you for that, but also let everybody know that it was that process and having that, going through that was something that changed. And that's where you were saying the high blood pressure that we have and most African Americans and everything else is a result from that. Now, the surgery was one part, exercise is the other part of that, because just having the surgery doesn't do it. You got to exercise and that. I was a lot better at doing all the exercise when I was right there at it, getting older. And now it's sort of, it just don't feel as good as it felt before when I was doing it, but kind of there. And
well,
so I want to talk to you about that.
Yeah, it's your patients don't know how we struggle with different approaches. Every approach doesn't work on everybody. And so I'll try, if you use stopping smoking, people who smoke, I use the scare tactic, which usually doesn't work. And then I try talking about what it's doing and what things it might be doing that people aren't thinking about. If you think about your weight, okay, I'm big, it's hard for me to get around, but you don't think about all the things that go along with that, you know, and that's what I try to bring to the front. You've got all these issues, but you know what the real problem is? It's your weight. You know, I mean, if you want to know what the real problem is, and then what are we going to do about that? Because until we do that, and as you saw, after you took care of the weight, the pills started dropping off. Then you didn't have, your diabetes wasn't bad. You didn't have that. Your blood pressure came down. All those things came down. Some people can't bring them down. My blood pressure won't come down unless I take medicine. So I just take it, and I'm not pushing against that.
Yeah, and it got to be, because I see guys a lot smaller than me and others who still got diabetes and got everything else. And so it's not that. And I say that all the time, but it helps.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
It definitely helps.
For you, it definitely was the key. But I don't remember saying that, but people always come and tell me, you remember you said?
Yeah. I mean,
no, I don't remember.
But you was rolling because you got clients coming in and stuff. And I would say our relationship a little different than others. So it's more, this Dave, that's what y'all, Dave sitting in here. So, brother, why you 400 pounds? So what's wrong with that? And you need to get your act together.
But I tell people that, you know, there are people that watch, you know, my 600 pound, my 800 pound life or whatever. And I'll never do that. But those people, they all weighed 250 at one point.
Yeah.
They all weighed 310 at one point. They all weighed 390. It's just
that.
When does it happen? And people look at me with a crazy look on it when I say, you can do that. And they're like, there's no way I would do that. Well, show me. You know, every time you come see me, you're 20 pounds heavier.
Exactly.
I haven't seen anything that would suggest that you couldn't do that.
You know, and I tell people all the time, you got to pick your thing. And like you say, you never know what affects people when they hear what, you know, like you say, is, did he hear me or they just going back out to do? Because after I left there, I didn't go get that.
You didn't go to McDonald's?
I didn't go to McDonald's. But then I still went back to McDonald's. So I didn't go to, but I tell you this. Since the surgery, I haven't ate McDonald's in that regard. I refuse to eat any fish fillets or any of that. Like, that's like my food crack. I'm like, I go back to that, I'll just go crazy again. But that's in my mind mentally. But I wanted to say that and talk to you because I think one of the things I told my wife and others is, man, y'all sat there and watched me gain 500 pounds and didn't say anything. And sometimes look at that and say, oh, we didn't want to hurt your feelings. But it's almost like you sit there and you watching the person kill themselves. You can, and honestly, and I look at it in that regards because and everybody grow old together. We all get big together and everything. But I looked at a picture is what it was. And when I looked at the picture and I said, look at this picture. And I said, so you're going to tell me that, come on, y'all didn't think I was like getting out of hand?
But they're not in a position. and to do that. There are people that watch. Look, my oldest brother smoked.
Mhm.
I can't get on him about smoking every time I see him smoke. He's gonna visit me. He gonna stop visiting me. And I can't be his doctor. I just have to be his little brother. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's little brother.
And he did stop smoking incidentally, but it was like, it's not my job to do that. But guess what? When you come and see me as your doctor, that is my job. And I had a lady, I told her, I said, you're obese. And I was like using the definition of like a BMI above 30. Actually, yeah, it makes you obese. Actually, you're overweight until it gets to 30, then you're obese. And she was insulted and she left. But I didn't know. You don't know when someone leaves you as a doctor. You just, because a lot of people you don't see for 2-3 years, then they pop up. They just didn't need you. But she came back 2-3 years later and said, I left you. And she was 150 pounds lighter. But apparently I had insulted her by saying she was obese, which she was. And she went to Weight Watchers and became a vegetarian and lost all that and then loved me. Now I'm
willing to bet you at some point, when she decided to make those moves, to decide the Weight Watchers and everything else, the thing in the back of her mind was the conversation that she had with you.
It was.
And even though she might have been mad and said, I ain't going and I'm quitting, but in her mind, I'm doing this because he said I was obese. And so I say that.
No one else said you, and no one else. No one else had ever
That's what
told
I'm
her.
saying.
No one else said anything.
Right.
But the mirrors were still there.
Well, you see the mirrors. You know the mirrors. I mean, the mirror. As a matter of fact, when we first bought our house, up in our in our master suite, this dude was vanity. He had mirrors all over the place. Mirrors everywhere he turned around. It was mirrors in there. And so it's not the mirror.
Right.
Sometimes it's the tough love. And again, I agree. You can't pound nobody with it. Every time you see him, you can't tell him this wrong. But at some point, somebody has to say something to you that sinks in, whether it's food, whether it's drugs, whether it's whatever it is, that makes you feel like you're going to turn that turning point in your life. Everybody's had that. I had it, whether it was this or that throughout my life. And just so happened you were the doctor at that time who said something to me that made me think about it and say, you know what, I really need to do something.
Right. And someone else might have said it and you wouldn't have taken it right.
I wouldn't take it. No, listen, I was called fat boy all my life growing up. So it wasn't that. I was immune to that and turned that out to the point that I gained 400 pounds.
Right.
And even at 400 pounds, still walking around, everybody telling me I'm cool, I'm still doing that thing, but I was 400 pounds.
Well, you know? But you were cool.
Doing my thing.
Yeah, you felt like the time. But I think you have to be receptive. I think that's why I don't give up on talking to people about it. It's like you would, a lot of people would say, I talk until I'm blue in the face, so I'm done talking about it. Well, you can't really take that attitude. You have to just keep pushing, because I know there may be a time, there's a window period where someone's going to be receptive to what I say for whatever reasons going on in their lives. And that's the time, if I don't talk about stopping smoking, or I don't talk about you really need to take your medicine, or you really need to get a screen for colon cancer. There was a guy who we grew up with who didn't get a colonoscopy and went to have some surgery, and they found a colon cancer. And it spread to his liver, it spread all over, and within 6 months he was dead. And he's looking at me, no one ever said anything about getting a colonoscopy. And he was 59 at the time. So he was technically 9 years, if not 14 years late for a colonoscopy. African Americans is indicated at 45. But he wasn't a patient of mine. He just was a family friend. Right. You know what I mean? But it was devastating. The look on his face, like no one ever said I needed to get screened, because he wasn't surrounded by anyone who would talk about stuff like that. So that's why when you're in groups like this, say, what's your PSA? If you're an African American male, what is your PSA? What was it last? Because we're at risk for prostate cancer. We need to keep track of that. We can't trust that to have somebody else keep track of it. Have you had a colonoscopy? Everyone needs to have a colonoscopy. Start in age 45. Have you done that? Have you started planning? Are you thinking about it? Because the guy could be alive today if he'd had a colonoscopy. They found the polyps earlier, that the polyps turn into cancer later. He could be walking around today if only he'd had a colonoscopy. It's just like such a waste. And so that's what trying to get men thinking about, educate them about what they should be doing, and try to, and as a collective, sort of do it. So it's not, don't go get a colonoscopy as a secret. You know what I mean? Tell your friend, I'm going to get a colonoscopy. Man, you should get yours. I just got my blood drawn. My cholesterol was 180. What was yours? So that we talk about a whole lot of other stuff. But there's a whole lot of other stuff that might be on the edge. You know what I mean? You can't talk about what your cholesterol is. Why not throw that in the conversation?
So I guess we could pivot to what you're doing over at UH now. Is that sort of what you're going down the line?
Well, it is. It's trying to figure out the best way to treat men and what's the best environment. So what they're doing and I should say we're doing, but a lot of it they conceptualized before I showed up is just to rethink what a visit to the doctor is, so that it's not a waiting room. It's not a clinical sort of an area. It's more of a social area. It's not intimidating. There's not someone behind a desk or behind a window, because clearly men don't like those environments. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
I'm sitting here thinking, would you go make it a strip club?
Right.
A man cave, right? Shop, right. Other than that, I don't know. It's very different. Doctor office is the doctor's office, right?
Yeah, when it opens, you'll have to come over.
Yeah, you'll have to come see what they're trying to do here.
It's just we're thinking about what men's needs are.
Right.
And now, a lot of times when we do medical stuff, we think about the doctor's needs and the nurse's needs. You know, we need this. I need this aseptic area. I need an examining table. But what do the patients need? And so we're switching that around to say, what do the patients need to feel comfortable? We don't have to get you have to get naked. No, I don't want to. Why do I have to get naked? A lot of stuff we can test through blood, just through drawing blood. Or a lot of things we can do through conversation. Just saying, what are you at risk? What's running your family? And so the things that we're being deliberate of having a welcoming space for men. It's going to be at the Hoosier, the addition that they're building right now at a Hoosier. And there's going to be the Cutler family donated a ton of money to try to improve the outcomes of men. And so we're taking that money and really redesigning the experience so that men can be more involved and also take on the things that impact men's health, like what your finances impact your health, your family dynamics impact your health, or your social habits impact your health. And so people don't know. I had a guy come in who smokes Black and Mild cigars, and he was 25. And I was like, man, you really shouldn't smoke. And particularly you shouldn't smoke Black and Milds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he looked at me like, who do you think you are?
Right.
He didn't even know I was supposed to give him advice like that. And because he'd grown up in an environment where no one told him anything, he was really taken aback. And I was taken aback by how insulted he was. Like, who do you think you are telling me I can't smoke Black and Milds? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And I was like, oh, I'm your doctor. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm supposed to tell you the healthy. I'm supposed to say eat vegetables. I'm supposed to say lose weight. I'm supposed to say go for walks. That's what I'm supposed to do. And then he was like, oh, then he got it. You know what I mean? But he didn't know up until that point, because no one in his life had done that. So we want to try. He was on his phone a lot. So if there's information on a video that someone could access, say you're supposed to get a colonoscopy at 45. You're supposed to start getting PSAs every year to check for prostate cancer starting at 40. You're supposed to get mammograms. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, men can get breast cancer. These little things that men don't think about because it's not on their radar, but we're trying to pull the information together to make it accessible to them.
So would you think that women are getting more health care or going to the doctor more frequently and getting better health care than men because of the fact that women who have children usually get health care for the children? And so they start off, especially if they're a young girl who had a baby at a young age. So her health care starts off with the kids, herself, and moving on, where that same guy brought up in the same thing who doesn't get welfare, who end up working at McDonald's or some other place where there's no health care, no benefits or any of the other stuff, never get an opportunity to go to the doctor, never gets that same pass through. So he gets to the age of 25, almost 30, maybe before he lands a job that gets benefits, that now he ain't in the habit of going to the doctor because the doctor is someplace that when I go, they charging me money because I used to have to pay to go there before I had benefits.
Right.
You see what I mean? So now I'm going in there with some benefits, but really don't understand how it works because I always wanted to get in and out of there.
Right.
That's, I think.
Well, it's some of it. I think women are more nurturing, and that's just they hate to make sweeping statements, but so that nurturing goes whatever. They nurture their kids, they nurture their spouses, their
The husband, partner.
I think a lot of it is,
Because you gotta grow that way. It's a mental, like a mentality, right?
They talked about some of it is being familiar, the mystery of going to the doctors is gone in a much younger in women. They got to go get PAPs every year.
That's what I'm saying. Right.
Before they get pregnant, mostly you need to go get PAPs. You got screened for cervical cancer, which has basically been eradicated. Last time you heard of somebody with cervical cancer.
Well, do you think that low income women in the hood, we talking Glenville, Collinwood, in the inner city, are they just as, are their numbers as it relates to getting health care is significantly higher than the African American male, or are we somewhere close that poor people, period, is just not?
Poor people are less apt to get health care than people with more money, but women are more apt to get health care compared to men.
Okay.
Whether it's no matter what your socioeconomic status.
Really?
I mean, that's just, women just go to the doctor. If you go to a waiting room and an emergency room and look around, you're going to see more women than men.
That's true.
You go come to my waiting room. You're going to see more women than men. That's it. And that,
but you
be that way. No.
Why when I was going there, I used to only see males. I didn't know you even had saw women.
I've always had a lot of male patients because I push for that, you know, but I still have more women patients than men. Right. You know,
just the times I was there, it was just all men that day.
Yeah, but there's more men. Probably I might see more men than your average doctor. But and now it's really going to take off. Now I'm with this Cutler Center for men, and then the plan is to have a center also that focuses on African American men and minority men, and so that's going to be another aspect of this center that's going to be an important part. So we're looking forward to getting that going too.
Any disparities in African American, Hispanics, and other ethnics?
Yes. Oh my God, Ken. Yes. So the life expectancy, which is going to go down for everybody because of the pandemic. But before this 2019, 2018 data, so the life expectancy for African Americans is 74.
Okay.
Age, that's women and men combined, 74 life expectancy. For Hispanic Latinos, it's 82. And for Asian Pacific Islanders, it's 86. So 86. So that's 12 years longer than African Americans. Asian Americans live on average 12 years longer.
Wow.
So when you get my age or your age and you start counting backwards from 74, it's like, I hope that ain't true. I don't know what that is, but that's an average. So African American men is 72.
Wow.
Women 76. You know what I'm saying? So it's not good for that. So that when they bunch minorities together, it's a pet peeve of mine because it's a minority health and minority disparities. But the bad disparities are all African American. They're not, and some Native American too, but not Asian American or Hispanic Latino. They live longer than white people. White people, average age is 78.
Wow.
Yeah, their life expectancy combined, 78. Hispanic Latino men and women and Asian Pacific Islander men and women live longer than white people. And people don't know that. And some of that is this men's health issue that we need to talk about, you know, and saying that they're comparing us to a group of individuals that aren't doing that either. We're just doing worse, but we're not comparing ourselves to the best who's living the longest, which is Asian American.
We want to talk a little bit about, let's talk about some of the engagement. I know they're with this new program. You said UH is building a new place. Where is that going to be? And
yeah, it's an addition on the UH building, and basically there's going to be
is that the one out in?
It's on 271 right at
Harvard out there.
Harvard,
okay,
yeah,
right, the big building out there.
But it's you can see it from the freeway. A lot of big construction, and so like I said, there's going to be exercise area. It's going to be really nice. It's going to be really different. And you don't have to stick with one doctor. You're going to be able to have access to a number of different providers you could choose that's close to you. And
so this is like a complex for men. I don't say complex. I would say this section of
this center. The center is going to be a men's center, although they're planning on probably there being around 20% women that also use the services. And we could joke that we can't do this without women. Some kind of way they're going to have to be about, not in the way you mentioned earlier.
Exactly.
But we're going to be deliberate about including women, and some wives will be joining as well. But it's going to be a different experience all the way around.
Okay. And when are you saying that'll be open?
That's supposed to open March of 2023. 2023.
Okay,
so next
sure.
year in March, I believe it's supposed to be opening. So I'll have a presence there once a week, and some other doctors will have a presence there, and we'll be addressing a lot of issues and some urologic issues that a lot of people in our community aren't looking at. People with erectile dysfunction, maybe after prostate surgery, and they're just dealing with it, but they're not investigating a lot of the things that are available for that. There's a lot of people that are incontinent, of urine, and there are surgeries that can fix that. And again, people just put Depends on and just tolerate, say, this is what my life is supposed to be like.
Really?
But that's not the way it is. And again, they're not talking about that in barbershop groups. No. But I talk about, are you incontinent? Yeah, let's do something about it. You shouldn't necessarily have to be in diapers. Some people do have to be in diapers, but a lot of people don't. And there's even therapies. I've met with the people in physical therapy that there's exercises that people can strengthen their pelvic floor that will help them improve their continence. A lot of people that can help with that, men and women. Really? And so it's just a matter of coming into a safe space and being able to have a conversation about whatever it is, if it's erection problems or continent problems or bowel problems. A lot of times people just don't want to talk about it, or rashes. I've seen things that people have come to me and said, I'm really ashamed, but take a look at this. And it's a disaster. And if you never mention this is, as I'm walking out the door, one more thing. Right. And I can't believe this is a one more thing, but when you have a provider you can trust and you feel like I can tell them whatever, that's what we're establishing. So we're trying to do that in a deliberate way, and then track outcomes. See, are we making people live longer? Are we preventing cancer? Are we doing something with these people? They donate this money. Is it an experience that people can duplicate across the country? So it's really a great opportunity to do something that might be replicated elsewhere.
How about mental health issues? You gonna deal with any?
Oh my God, yes, of course you can. If you don't, you got to be able to address someone's mental health. And a lot of underdiagnosed and undertreated depression, a lot, and people are afraid to talk about the vulnerability of that. And even at UH now, we're screening everybody for depression, everyone, which is not what I'd normally let it bubble to the top, or if they looked like they were depressed, I'd ask. But now they've got an initiative that literally just started the 1st of January, where everyone gets screened for depression. Really? And we asked about it. And it's surprising to me that someone could be smiling and sitting there and they say, yeah, I think I am depressed. I have felt down the last couple of weeks. I do feel like I'm a failure. But nothing else in their conversation would have suggested that. So it's a great opportunity to try to see what we can do to try to make a lot of people feel better. And the pandemic is just being stuck indoors, just not being able to visit people, not seeing some people, and being afraid to catch a very deadly virus. That's kept people in.
So let's talk a little bit about that in your practice with that pandemic going on and you doing business. And how did it affect your business? How did you have to deal with clients? I know it's like people coming in, they come to you, they're sick. It's, oh my God, everybody in the way. Well, they don't come to you when they're sick. They shouldn't, right?
Right. It changed everything. Everything got turned upside down. So of course, hardly anyone could come. I was afraid for my older patients, anybody over 60 during the height of it, I was afraid to come to my office and catch something from somebody else. There was no vaccine available at the time, and it was just out there. And so I had elderly patients who loved to come see me. I said, do not come to my office. And we had to institute all these things where people sit in your car and call and then come in. No one's in the thing. And that cut down. There's no in the waiting room, flowing out into the hallway. All those days are over. So it really cut down on a lot of volume for just like restaurants and everything else. It cut down a lot of the visits, but we're getting used to, once we were able to get vaccinated, the older people are very good about getting vaccinated and getting boosted. And so I feel much safer. We've done all we can. Some younger people don't want to do it, and I'm allowing them to be them, you know what I mean? And so not making them feel too overly uncomfortable about it, letting them know that I think you should get vaccinated. There's nothing unhealthy about it. But again, if you feel it's just that important, then I respect your wishes.
Oh, and you said you had actually caught it, right?
Yes, I got it in November. The vaccine came out in December, and I got it in November, right before Thanksgiving. Right before Thanksgiving, I was sick as a dog and in the hospital for 10 days. Wow. I was in the intensive care unit at Cleveland Clinic, and I trained there. I used to work the intensive care unit. So this is not good. It's not easy to get into a Cleveland Clinic intensive care unit. I'm just saying you have to be sick.
Right.
I know. So when they were telling me that, I was like, oh Lord, no. And then my oxygenation was so low that the thing would go off beep, beep. And when it would go down, it'd go down to 80s.
Oh.
And I'd be deliberately breathing deeply to try to get it up to 90. And I was like, if this thing keeps going down, I'm toast. You're gonna put me on a breathing machine.
And you ain't trying to go there.
And I'm not trying to do that.
Right.
And I was scared. I thought I was gonna die for about 3 days out of those 10. I was like, this is not, I got worse. I gotta admit, I was sick as a dog. I'd been in bed probably 3 days. Again, the value of a wife. I didn't feel like I needed to go to the hospital. I just needed to rest. I just needed to leave me alone. I wasn't eating. Leave me alone. And then when Thanksgiving Day came, and I said, I'm in my brain, I said, I'm going to go downstairs and at least sit with my family with a mask or just sit with them. Never got out of bed.
Wow.
Never got out of bed on Thanksgiving. So the Friday after Thanksgiving, after I'd been sick since Tuesday, like in bed, sick, like I risked going to the bathroom. I was sick as a dog.
Wow.
And even on Friday, I went there and I was like, but she said, you're going to the hospital. So she literally I got up and I had the energy to fight with her and took the hospital. And then I continued to get worse.
Wow.
Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and transferred me to the intensive care unit on Tuesday. And I'm like, I've been sick for 8 days and I'm not getting better. I'm not getting any better. And so it was really scary. I called my sister. I said, you got to start praying for me. I don't think I'm going to make it. So she got her little prayer warriors. My wife started getting people praying. And I really believe that's what turned me. I think that's what turned me around. Because medicine that I was getting all the top medicines. Like I remember remdesivir. They didn't have monoclonal antibodies at the time, but I got everything else. But I think the prayer is what turned me around.
Really?
I really do.
So doctor, you said it was the prayer, not the medicine.
No, it was the medicine. I was in Cleveland Clinic. I wasn't at home having them pray for me, right? I could have said, no, I'm staying home, pray for me. No, I want to use everything at my disposal.
That's good.
When people say that, well, I said, God sent you here to me today. Right. So let's do this God thing. Because you're here because God's guided you here and is guiding what I'm saying. Let's do all that together. Don't just pray for your blood pressure to go down.
Right, exactly.
Pray and take some amlodipine.
Exactly.
Little hydrochlorothiazide and pray.
And then it goes down.
Right, exactly.
So with that and everything, how you think the city and everybody's doing with the COVID numbers, and you see what's going on?
Well, they're going down.
Okay.
They're trending down now, thank goodness. And let's hope that the new variant, the complication with people not getting vaccinated is that the new variants develop from people who are unvaccinated. And so as it spreads from person to person, that's when these new variants develop, and then all the rest of us are at risk. And so that's why people get so mad. The people that know are getting so mad at people who aren't getting vaccinated, because you're making this worse for everybody. But at the same token, now it's a priority. Everyone's health wasn't a priority. Having insurance for everybody wasn't a priority. Trust wasn't a priority. None of that stuff was a priority. But now that we're all in this boat, we're all in this together. People with money, people without money, the white people, black people, Hispanic people. We're all in this together. People in South Africa, we don't want a bad strain to occur in New Guinea. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Can affect us in no time, right? Just like it started in China and spread all over the world. So we have to, as humans, as a collective, we need to start recognizing that we are all interconnected and we need to trust each other, and we need to because we could eradicate, just like smallpox, we could eradicate this if we all got on the same page. And there was a time when we were all on the same page. Okay. You know what I mean? But they used to line us up. Remember at mile standing?
Yeah, exactly.
They didn't ask anybody nothing. No. They line you up and give you the vaccine. They didn't know what it was.
Exactly.
I don't know. And so that may have not been ideal, but it worked.
It worked.
It worked. Maybe it's better we ask people, but I'm not so sure.
I'm not so sure, because now we're at where we're dealing with now, where it's the conspiracy and everything, and it is just the trust factor. I think the way the government is, and they blame it on government. I don't think government has anything to do with this. This is all medicine. I think that either you take it and be sick, or take it and be healthy. There's people say, oh, you would take that and you're going to be like this. And I'm like, you can take it and not take it and die is the other source to it. So,
well, I mean, it's more of an establishment. It's, if there's a big establishment, then the assumption is that there's some nefarious plan. And so government can be the big establishment with a nefarious plan, or it can be a big hospital system, or our institution, a university can be.
Right.
So it's bucking the system, and people have individual rights. And so I think that's what
my thing, I tell everybody that if you're taking any prescription drugs, metformin,
right,
and any of these other drugs, and you're taking that because you want to lower your blood pressure, you want to do whatever you're trying to do, then I don't see why you wouldn't take a flu shot or anything and not catch a flu. Other than that, if you believe that stuff your doctor been telling you to take these pills for 20 years or 10 years, and you've been taking them faithfully, and you won't take the shot, I think that's my only issue. Now, I got some people out here who are straight vegetarians. You got some people out here who don't put nothing, don't believe it. You got some religious folks who don't do no shots at all, no immunizations or anything. Right. I get that. Those folks are good. But my brother who's standing out there buying weed on the corner and don't know where he getting that from and doing all this other stuff, who are not taking the shot, I don't understand.
Yeah, right. Well, it's complicated. I think it's really complicated because I don't want to alienate anyone and say their doctors that say if you're not vaccinated, don't come see me. And I'm not that way. It's not practical. You know what I mean? It's under 40% of African Americans in Cotton County have had the vaccine, so 60% have not. So I'm potentially eliminating 60% of my patient population by taking that attitude. But it's important to understand that once you build trust, I've talked so many people into getting the vaccine. A ton of people, because once they trust you, they know I'm just in this for you. Then they'll go ahead and do it. But there's unhelpful things online. Now, there are people that have the look online, and that you can find almost anything online that will support whatever bad decision. People will tell you you can smoke cigarettes and not die of cancer. Then you can find somebody to tell you that. But I think having a trusted person, a professional that's trusted. I tell people, like, if you call someone to your house, you have an electrical problem, electrician comes to your house and looks at everything and says, you need X, Y, Z, A, B, C. Why does it have to ring true with me? I don't know. Maybe I don't think I need that. What are you talking about? You call an electrician. Do what the electrician says. You're not going to sit there and think, this thing, I don't know about that. No, find an electrician that whatever he tells you, you trust.
Exactly.
And then by your house not burning down with electrical fire, you validated that. So it's the same thing as the truth. Find a doctor you trust, ask him, and then just follow it. And I'll tell you the truth. I'm not so sure about this or that. The data on this or that is not right. But this messenger RNA and the vaccine, you're going to see all kinds of health-related cures and interventions come out of that technology. And it's new, and some people are hesitant about it, but it's really going to be a turning point in medicine, to be honest with you.
I really hope that you were saying something, and I was thinking here that having access to doctors, and like you say, finding the doctor, I think is key too. I think trying to actually look for a doctor, knowing who's the doctor, what they look like before you get there, and all of that is important. And I think maybe that is something that you guys can do there in trying to make it easier for us to find a doctor. Even though I have healthcare and everything else, but if I had to find another doctor, I remember going through that process. It's not easy. No, even at one point, I didn't have the same insurance you were on, and I had to get another doctor at one point, I remember. And I remember going through that book, looking through that, I said, damn, Dr. Hall ain't in this group. And I had to go find a doctor for a little while to take care of me for a little while. And in that, just that process. So again, a person who don't want to go to the doctor, guys who may have these issues, finding that doctor, I think some app or something that you guys can come up with will probably be awesome, that you can look at and say, oh, this is a brother. He looks like somebody. You look at a doctor and say, maybe somebody was like, I don't think I want to talk to them.
We've established a nonprofit called the National Institute for African American Health, NIAH, NIAAH.
Okay.
And we're going to have on NIAH.org, we're going to have a resource nationally where people can go, and if they need a Black male doctor, then we'll be able to show them one that are available. And that same organization is going to try to be more deliberate about helping students get into medical school and get out of medical school. Getting into medical school is hard, but it's real hard to get out of medical school.
Okay.
A doctor, it's not easy at all. And if you don't have the support system like a lot of African Americans don't, it makes it difficult. So NIA is going to help support them as well.
Excellent. Now, you mentioned something earlier. You was talking about New Guinea, and you mentioned New Guinea.
I don't know why.
And I'm going to go back. Dorinda, what was that thing we was talking about earlier? Integrational health, right? Integrative health and anthropology. The reason why, Dr. Chisholm, I did a show with her. She was on here, and I asked her, she has a degree in anthropology. And I asked her, what is that? And she started telling us what it was. But the example she gave me, she said, in New Guinea, if a woman goes to the doctor and complains about her heart is hurting, the doctor will tell her that her husband is cheating. Versus in Western American medicine, we will probably run EKGs and other. So you mentioned New Guinea. I
think that's just that knowing about the culture of a people can help you inform the visit. And so when they were saying their heart is heavy, they probably even know to describe how they feel as my heart is heavy versus angina, which is related. And so knowing that about how they're different cultural, that's really about cultural competence and knowing who you're dealing with and understanding about how they were raised and there's a lot of doctors that African Americans go to and they say, you need to be a vegetarian. You need to stop drinking Kool-Aid and become a vegetarian. Why don't you and stop smoking and lose weight and I'll see you in 6 months. They're not going to do any of that stuff. You can't give someone who's got a whole lot of other priorities just bark some orders and then run out the room. And they don't know that's not how you do that because they don't understand the ins and outs of it. So that's why people look for people that look like them or have experienced stuff that they've experienced so they understand, man, I'm not going to do that. So I try to tell you, here's what I've done with you. Stop drinking sugar beverages. That's where you're going to start. Remember, I start with everybody. Okay. You don't have to do anything else, but it's just drink water or some water with some lemon or something because you're drinking 1,500 calories.
That was the very first thing
in liquid.
Exactly. That was the very first thing they told you.
And I've got women coming with the big purses. They got a 2-liter Pepsi in the purse.
And the diet is just as worse.
But then you want to lose weight, start with your purse. But people don't think about how many calories that they consume, empty calories like that. And we've talked about alcohol. Who knew how much alcohol could be in rum? Just if you drink whatever, Crown Royal or something, 200 calories or beer.
Beer.
A beer, the high-end craft beer, 450 calories a bottle. 450 calories a bottle. So you've seen how people we hang out.
You know, 10,000, 2,000 calories just drinking. Then you eat another chicken wings, another 3,000 calories.
We know drinks 1 or 2 beers.
No, not at all. Not at all.
If they're drinking beer, but people don't think don't think that.
Exactly.
You know? And so it's just like educating people and having there be a degree of health competence. What do you need to know about your own health so that we can drag this out? Because I think other cultures, possibly Asian Americans and Hispanic Latinos, do better about looking after their health, do better about eating vegetables and it's centuries of culture of what you eat and seafood-based things and plant-based meals and that's why they're living to be 88 and 90 and 95 because their plant-based meals are the healthier way to go.
Exactly. So on that, let's go into this healthy vitamins and new vitamin program you have or company you are working with now.
Yeah, it's a Sequence multivitamins. It's at sequencevitamin.com. We have we have a formula for African American men, women, and African men and women over 50. So there's 4 different formulations, and it started with I wrote the book on African American health for physicians and providers, and when I did the chapter on lab results, I saw all this research, and I was like, wow. There's significant, I knew about vitamin D deficiency, but it's huge, 80% deficient. 4 out of 5 African Americans, there's 4 of us here. 3 out of 4 of us have low vitamin D. Wow. You know what I mean? That's how prevalent it is. and not on vitamin D supplements. And there's a significant vitamin C deficiency in African Americans and zinc deficiencies in African Americans. It's significant. And those deficiencies are associated with increased worse disease, increased diabetes, increased cancer, increased heart disease. And so when I was writing that chapter for that book, I thought, wow, I could devise a multivitamin that would incorporate all this information, give them the right amount of vitamin D. So the recommended daily amount of vitamin D for everybody is 500 IUs. For African Americans, is 2,000. So if you get a regular one-a-day vitamin or once-a-day vitamin, I'm not saying the brand,
I got you.
it's not going to have enough vitamin D. It's going to have 1/4 of the vitamin D that African Americans need. Whereas Sequence has the recommended daily amount for African Americans.
So by you doing that, are you taking something out?
Yes. There's no vitamin E and there's no selenium, because I found a number of research articles that showed that taking vitamin E at 400 international units a day was associated with increased prostate cancer and lung cancer. Yeah.
Wow.
And particularly, and there was a study that showed that in African Americans, when prostate cancer occurs anywhere. So and selenium had the same studies showing that people who took selenium had increased risk for cancer, lung cancer and prostate cancer. So I said that until we got final research shows otherwise, there'll be no vitamin E and there's no selenium in the multivitamin. And there's also no vitamin K causes blood to clot.
Really?
And that's how we clot our blood, through vitamin K. And African Americans have the highest risk for forming blood clots in their legs, clots in their brains, a stroke, clots in their heart, it's a heart attack. We have the highest rates of stroke, 4 times a stroke rate than white people, high rate of heart attack, very high rate for forming a clot after surgery. So we don't need anything that help us form a clot. We don't need anything additional. So I say we'll leave vitamin K out because African Americans don't need, and there's no evidence of vitamin K deficiency. And so vitamin K, when we eat greens, my mother-in-law used to make a pot of greens, and that's for all kinds of vitamin K. And I'm not saying that's bad for you, but for whatever reason, there's no vitamin K deficiencies in African Americans. So there was no need to put one in a supplement. So it's really been tailored specifically to the research outcomes that African Americans have. It's not getting insulted. People say, we got a black-owned vitamin company. It's not just black-owned, but I'm giving you the same thing all the other vitamin companies are giving you. No, I'm giving you a black-designed, it's for black people. It should be owned by white people. But the vitamin is designed to complement the deficiencies and the risks that African Americans have.
So how you get it? You get it in the stores or
online at sequencevitamin.com or Amazon. If you search for it on Amazon, we sell it on Amazon, and we're going to open up a store in February in Richmond Heights. On a Sequence Vitamin store, where we're going to be able to sell them there as well.
I'm sure you get them at your office as well, correct?
No, you can't get them at my office. I work for University Hospital. I do not conduct any business like that at my office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, only at the store and online.
Doctor, I want to first thank you for coming out and appreciate you taking the time. What we do with all our guests at the end of the show is I want you to slide your microphone out the way there. Slide it out there, and I'm going to let you look into this camera here and tell everybody your name and anything you guys got going. If you want them to reach Sequel again, where they can get information about that, and if you want to tell them about your program.
All right, thanks. I'm Dr. Greg Hall. Please go to sequencevitamin.com. Want to order any vitamins? I look for my podcast, Better Black Health with Dr. Greg Hall. You can just Google that, Better Black Health, and we do the same thing we do with Ken, talking about specific illnesses in African Americans, and also Google NIAH.org, NIAH.org. That's where you can find some good health information as it relates to African American health. And look out for the Cutler Center for Men. It's going to be at University Hospital, really launching soon for patients, probably in the second quarter, for patients in Northeast Ohio.